With us now, we have Sergeant Mark Kraus, City Police. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. We're so happy to have you this morning.
Thanks for having me in. Thank you.
Do you remember that time?
Of course I do. It was a big event for us as law enforcement. You know,
Yeah.
It was our moment to either shine or fail. And I think that the most humbling thing for me was when we asked people to leave and to not return. You know, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
We want you to leave your home and your investments and your community and your friends and go figure it out on your own.
Right.
And we asked the public to trust us with everything that they had and all of their worldly possessions. And I think we figured it out, probably 95% of the public said, okay, we trust the Lake Charles Police Department and the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office and other agencies around this area enough to where we're gonna listen to what you have to say. And when they left, then that really made us aware of the relationship we have in this community with our public. And not only that, just the trust that they have in us. And, you know, come hell or high water, we were not going to violate that trust in any way, shape, or form. And there were some police officers and sheriff's deputies and that really did some heroic things to maintain that trust and make sure that people's property wasn't looted, or we protected it as best we could. Obviously, the weather had a major influence on how their property was damaged. But with regard to what happened in the comparison of Lake Charles and the New Orleans area, because, you know, I don't know if y'all remember this, we were down there, we went and helped in New Orleans 10 days prior to this event.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it was a total contrast. I mean, it was chaos down there. And when we came home, we said, we'll never let that happen here. And then all of a sudden, boom, this thing starts forming in the Gulf, and then there we are. It's our turn. And we knew what we would do, and we would do it right.
How's Lake Charles
Yeah.
better today than it was 10 years
Yes.
ago because of this situation, in your opinion?
You know, the day-to-day operations is not your is not when you're going to be on stage. When you're going to be on stage is when the community is really watching, and then the state's watching, and then the nation's watching, and then, you know, I did interviews on the telephone from radio stations in Germany, and so and other countries. So the world was watching what we did, and we have to prepare every day for an event like that, not just to make sure that we don't fail on a worldwide stage, because it was a worldwide stage, but just to make sure that we succeed and keep our promises to our community that we're going to be here. You know, we made T-shirts after that. We were here before the storm, we were here in the middle of the storm, and we're now here after the storm. And that statement still stands 10 years later, and it will be here for the next 100 years in law enforcement to protect our community and to try to do the right thing as our community directs us to do.
I know. I remember watching as much as we could get from the news, because we couldn't get local because we were up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. But it was, you know, we were friends and whatever. We were trying to stay in communication with each other. We weren't coming back to Lake Charles until you guys said we can come back to Lake Charles. And I think that's one thing that we also, evacuating, as you know, was important, but also the return, being a safe return, and electricity, and, you know, road hazards and things that needed to be cleared and things like that. I think our community also heard you guys and said, "We're okay. We'll wait until you guys can say."
Yeah,
okay,
I think about how
back.
huge that is, and that trust factor has to be there to say, "I don't come home, please."
We got you.
And people said, "Yeah, we got it. Just give us a little time to get our wind underneath, get our wind back in our lungs." And people listen to us. I'll tell you, I think part of and I've heard this, you know, even still today, we hear it, is part of the problem that was in New Orleans is the looters, and the looters that when we got there, we were ready to go. You know, I talked to a guy that was the third guy in charge and said, "Hey, where are they? My team, this team that I'm with is going to go make arrests." He said, "You can't make any arrests. We don't have any place to put them." So you kind of had to just watch some of that. So when we came back and that happened here, Sheriff Mancuso emptied his jails, barred other jail space from other people in the state, and, you know, we had 1,600 or however many people they can house out there.
Right.
So anytime we had a looter, we dragged him off to jail. And I'll tell you, we got him. It wasn't a fun deal for him either.
No.
So there was some concern in the national media, or one of the media outlets asked Chief Dixon, said, "What happens if you run out of space?" And this is when I knew that we were in good hands. And I don't know if you remember this. What happens if we run out of space with looters? Because everybody was concerned, and we were not concerned about looters.
No,
but
there was a plan.
I could see the public was concerned of what they've been watching in New Orleans. And Chief Dixon said, if we run out of room, I'll chain them to my toilet or my bathroom at work.
And he would.
And he would.
Yeah.
And let me
We
tell
got
you.
you, Dixon.
And we all looked
He
at
wouldn't
each
hesitate.
That's right. And we all looked at each other and knew, hey, we're in good hands. Let's roll. We have a
Got
mission.
him. That's
He
true.
doesn't play.
No.
He is the he started it being popular to be politically incorrect. He does not have a political.
We like
correct.
it like that.
Yeah, he is. He's a straightforward. He doesn't talk a whole lot, but when he does,
You
listen
listen.
because it's good advice. He's a
listen.
great leader. And you know, not just him and the sheriff. I tell you what, we just got a lot of good things happening here 10 years later, still through that process, after the process, and even 10 years later with all of the people that we have in leadership positions. And I just think it's a good place to be.